Today I want to talk about dreams. I want to talk about dreaming properly and how you know you're doing it well. So thanks for tuning in out there, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today was actually a beautiful day outside. It's the beginning of January. And with January, there's a lot of new energy that comes in, a lot of new things that are on the horizon. It's very exciting. Hope you guys and girls are off in the new year to a good start. And I hope you're showing up for yourselves and bring a lot of love and manifestation into your life experience. So today, I want to talk about dreams. Dreams are very important, because every day you go to sleep for 8 hours. And in that time is time that should not be unaccounted for. When you go to sleep, it's like you're stepping into another place. You're stepping into another realm. You're stepping into another dimension to experience life on a different wavelength. And when you're there, you are literally processing different aspects of your own experience. There's different energies that you may have gotten to experience throughout your day that show up in your dream, and that can manifest as people, that can manifest as places, that can manifest as situations you may find yourself in those experiences. And what's important is knowing that you're doing it right. So that's what I want to talk about, is dreams and how to know if you're doing it correctly. All right, because there's usually a positive way to do things, and then there's a not so proactive or productive way to do things. At least from my perspective, with my higher selves, they'll tell me. They'll literally tell me. They'll say, Jarrell, when you take a nap and you go unconscious, all that time that you're spent blackout because you're so tired all day is unaccounted for. You're supposed to be a conscious being. You're supposed to be awake at all times. So this is like my journey, and me also allowing you to show you my process and my progress of the dream state, and how you can begin to control it and manipulate it and utilize it to do what you need to do to make your ascension. Okay, so to get started, it's important to know that you have control. You have control over your dream state. You are the unified God being who has the most power in any situation, in any dream state. So when you begin to experience different levels of intensity in your dreams, whether they're positive, whether they're neutral, whether they're negative, or whether they're worse, you want to take your power back. Understand that in these areas is where you dominate, because it's literally, you're walking around in your own subconscious. You're literally there, and you're living and breathing, and you're processing, and you're feeling and sensing usually the energies that you experienced earlier in the day or earlier in the week that are showing up for you to process them. Your higher self is literally hoping that you will understand that there's a pattern. There's a puzzle piece that you have to fit into the bigger puzzle to make your way into higher awareness. So when you're going through your dream sequences, they're literally on the sidelines hoping that you'll figure it out. They're just standing there watching you, hoping that you'll figure it out. Sometimes they'll jump into the dreams and masquerade as one of the dream characters or one of the people to protect you, to watch over you, and to make sure that you are questioning what's happening there. Because when you're in a dream state, most people are in like the lower astral, like the lower awareness area, lower fourth dimension, to where they're kind of just walking around, just doing what they usually do every day, and they find themselves in different situations, whether they're at work, they could be driving, they could be at school, they could be playing a sport, they could be doing anything. They're doing anything, but usually they're on Earth and they're around people who they know, and it's just like, oh, a dream is a dream. It's just normal. That's just what we do. Yes, it is very normal. Yet there's a bar. There's a level to where you realize it's like, holy smokes! Like I've been dreaming, like under the bar. I've been like literally in the lower astral this entire time of my life. And when you start to awaken to that, you start to realize that it's a lot more exciting. It's a lot more rewarding and inspiring to continue to awaken and move up into the higher astrals. All right. So here's how to do that. This is what this video is about. So you want to contact your higher self. You want to contact the highest version of your higher self possible, that you know possible, closest to source, closest to your version of God, closest to, as high as you can go. And you want to say, hey, higher self, can you please help me process while my body rests tonight? You ask your higher self that before you go to bed. And when you do that, you'll see your dream state change. You'll see a lot of things happen. You'll see yourself in situations in a different contrast as compared to before. Say you're usually in a dream. Say you're in a bar in a dream. There's always a metaphor. If you're in a bar, that means you're somewhere looking for energy. If you're in a school, that means you're somewhere learning for something. If you're in a stadium, that means you're in a collective zone to where everybody's watching one thing. And it's like, it's very, dream states are very symbolic and they're very meaningful, very deep levels. So after you ask your higher self to watch over you like this, you'll immediately, before you go to bed, you'll feel a lot of energy flood through your body. And then number one, you'll feel more safe. Number two, you'll have more clarity when you're in your dream state. And number three, you'll have more recall when you wake up. So when you start to do this, you start to learn as your higher self while you're in the dream state, which might blow your socks off, because it's like, oh wow, I'm really this high awareness being, and I'm not just walking around like this saying this to myself while I'm aware, while I'm awake and in a physical body. When I go to sleep, I'm literally looking at my friends and family and saying, hey, no, we're not doing this. Here, boom, boom, get rid of this, boom, get rid of this, boom, get rid of this. And then the hands of God literally comes down in your dream state, and then you start adjusting and rearranging your dreamscape, and then you turn to Superman, and then you're out. It's the type of stuff like that happens. So these things are exciting to learn, because when you learn them, there's no going back. Okay. So absolutely, when you continue learning, you'll start to literally rearrange things. You'll start to stop people in their tracks and say, hey, no, like, I don't know what you're processing. I don't know what you're assuming or suggesting that we do in this situation, but I'm here for my ascension, and I'm not going to go into this lower astral energy dynamic with you just because you're related to me, or just because I've known you all my life. It's like life lessons. It's life lessons handed to you that you start to be able to immediately process while you're dreaming, which isn't actually a dream. It's just you in another space. Okay, so the word dream isn't something I even use anymore, because it has no relevance, it has no reality. Something like a dream is something like a figment of your imagination that you create that isn't real. If you're talking about being in the third dimension, or it could also mean a figment of your imagination that you create as like a hope for the future that you want to make real, that you eventually work hard for to manifest. Yet here we're talking about, etherically in these situations. All right. So also, when you do this, your light quotient will increase. You'll get a lot more used to being in a state when your body is resting and your mind is still aware. You'll be able to learn quicker to immediately get into that state and stay awake as you're resting. So your body is like vibrating, right? Your body's vibrating and your mind is still aware, still doing things. Your mind will go down into a delta state, which is like a dreamless sleep. However, you'll still be aware. And then you'll come up out of that into a theta state, which is a waking dreaming state. And it's from there you get to play with your energy. You get to play with your awareness. You begin to play with being alive and being useful to yourself while you're in another state. A great way to begin to learn how to control yourself while you're in the state, to be able to induce that state whenever you want, is using binaural beats. Just using binaural beats. Just research those beats, and I've said this many times before on this channel. Just research binaural beats, meditation audios. Review them with your higher self. Say, hey, higher self, is this one good? Or is this one good? Is this one good? Usually they'll tell you to go for, in the beginning, they'll tell you to go for theta, which is the state when you're dreaming. And then when you get good at that, they'll tell you to go to gamma, which is like a very high frequency state. It's like the highest state you can get to. It's like professional level, to where you're in intense focus when you're like doing action sports like skateboarding or snowboarding or something, or you're playing basketball, or you're doing something that requires 100% of your focus, so you're dialed in. And when you're vibrating like that, when you're about to get into a state to where you're going to be walking around in another space for a few hours, it allows you to be more aware and control what you're doing and remember and recall way easier. So these are the things that I like to share with you today. Also, the more you do this and the more you work with your higher selves, you'll realize that a lot of the times when you go to sleep and you're like blacked out and you don't remember, are the times when you've just been not clear enough to see what you were actually doing. There just hasn't been enough light in your vessel to keep the intensity 100% streaming through into your consciousness for you to remember what you've been doing all night. So it's like, you'll because sometimes you'll see yourself, because sometimes you're way up in higher dimensions with your super being higher selves, who literally look like superheroes, like literally like they're out of the Avengers or something, and you're up there just having a blast, doing a whole bunch of stuff, handling the situations that you deal with every day up there, and you're literally experiencing life as them while you're still in the third dimension asleep. So when you fall asleep like that, sometimes like right before you fall asleep, you'll see yourself like jump out of your body, and then you'll see your higher self standing by a portal of light, like a pillar of light, and then you see yourself walk in, and then you won't remember anything. So it's literally like that. You're building yourself up to that until you can get your light quotient high enough to sustain a level long enough to remember the things that you're doing up and out of here, and not bumbling around in the lower dimensions where most people are, where almost everybody is. So I just wanted to share those things with you today. This is one of the things that I feel like was very important, so I just am letting you know that dream time is very important, and there's a purpose for it. There's a huge purpose for it, because when you see the level of where people are at in your lives, you can literally take that wisdom and apply it to your everyday waking life, and then you can watch out for it when it shows up in your physical reality with those same people. So it's literally kind of like being a prophet or being a oracle, seeing these things happen in real time. When you're like, hey, I just dreamed about that. I just dreamed this person was doing that. You know, they're doing it. You know, so it's like, you know, it's cool. And remember, always after every dream sequence, you ask your higher selves, hey, what does this mean? Hey, what does that mean? Hey, what does this situation mean? Remember, usually it's a metaphor. A place is a metaphor. A person can also be a metaphor for a type of energy you're experiencing. And things, they're usually, you know, they're usually things that have a meaning to you, either in your current life or your higher self's experience or past life. All right. So peace and love. If you guys would like a session, I do sessions at quantumlight.org. I do all types of stuff on there. Check it out. I love you. I will talk to you soon. Peace out.